So friends, with the consent of each one of you, may I start the first case study?
Yes.
Sure, please.
So I'll be just sharing my screen. So friends, Asta Bariatrics invites you for a virtual roundtable meeting to discuss the connect between obesity, obstetrics and gynecology. A mutual learning between two specialties and designing a better patient pathway. Friends, obesity is the leading cause of complications in female. Obesity, especially abdominal obesity, is central to metabolic syndrome and is strongly related to PCOS. Women are particularly susceptible to diabetes, and diabetes in turn puts women at dramatically increased risk of CVD. So obesity substantially increases the risk of several major cancers in women, especially postmenopausal breast cancers and endometrial cancers. So with this background, let's go on to the first case study for the day. So friends, this is one patient, a 20-year-old female. So I'm talking about this girl when she was sent to me. A 20-year-old female, height 165 centimeters, weight 98 kgs, BMI of 36, came to me with complaints of excess weight gain, irregular menses, oligomenorrhea, facial hair growth, dyspnea on exertion, and dark pigmentation around the neck. Now, this is the case which... Hello, yeah. This is the case which came to me. I would like to know from this esteemed panel, you all could volunteer, raise your hands and start saying, how would you like to treat this case? This patient was referred to me by a friend gynecologist. So how would, that means the patient has taken some treatment earlier with the gynecologist. This patient has come to me at this stage. What would you like to do in this patient?
Okay. Is anyone answering or can I answer?
All ears to you.
Jyoti, go ahead. You should do the basic blood test. The hormonal assay should be done to rule out the thyroid and diabetic.
Okay. What else do you feel? How would you proceed with the treatment? This was investigation. Further, what would be your line of treatment, knowing that this patient has come to us from a gynecologist?
We have to see whether she has already tried weight loss or lifestyle modifications, whether the weight was earlier, whether those lifestyle modifications have already started having any effect or there was no effect of it at all.
Dr. Manish, all the signs and symptoms which you have just mentioned, okay, are very, very classic for polycystic ovarian syndrome.
Okay.
Okay, now this patient classically fits into all those criteria of irregular menses, oligomenorrhea, hirsutism, okay, acanthosis nigricans, or dark pigmentation, as you very well say. Okay, so it would be a complete approach, right, starting from the weight loss, correction of her diet, exercise to maintain that weight loss, or for that matter to have the weight loss followed by maintenance of that weight loss. And definitely medications can be added, like we give insulin sensitizers like metformin, myoinositol. You know, you're aware of all those insulin sensitizers which we give. And a systemic approach, because she's not going to lose weight within 2-3 months or so. So maybe 6 months to 1 year protocol would be set in for her with an achievable weight loss. And accordingly, we can monitor her menses. We might even add in hormonal therapy to regularize them during this period, which would further reduce the insulin resistance and the androgen levels and help her lose weight and restrict her hirsutism ahead. So that is in general, we would take care of this patient this way.
Anyone else would like to opine? Yeah, doctor.
Yeah, so basically, I think I would go with what Jyoti has said. Hello?
Yeah.
I would go with what Jyoti has said. But I think these patients, I think you need to really sit down. She's a young girl, 20 years old. having all these things. You need to sit down and talk to her. I think counseling, you need to talk to her. And basically, in counseling, I think main target should be lifestyle change. Along with that, the other things about, other, hormonal problems. I think you'll have to do her thyroid, her blood glucose, and probably her testosterone levels and all to rule out other causes of obesity. And once you rule out other causes and it fits into PCO, I think lifestyle change is the fulcrum around which we can move around. Maybe give her a trial with also other things. You could add your metformins and your insulin sensitizers, and I wouldn't worry much about the irregular period. So, I always tell my patients that irregular period is not a problem.
Her mother would worry more.
Like I said, that irregular period, you need treatment only if you want a pregnancy, you don't want a pregnancy. Otherwise, I don't think you do the irregular periods. I think you can get 5 or 6 periods in a year. I'm happy with that. I would more concentrate on her weight and the other problems, acne and all that. So concentrate on her other problems. And weight period, probably I would look into at the time of, if she wants a conception or something at that point in time. I don't think we should really at this point in time.
Somewhere, may I say something? Hello.
Lots of
Hello?
disturbance coming from one end.
Yeah, a lot of disturbance.
I think Bhakti can mute the others while one is speaking. So probably the disturbance would be less. Yeah.
Yes.
But one more very important point which I would like to highlight in my years of practice. Sir just mentioned, Egbert sir, about lifestyle changes. Okay, what I personally feel is how much soever you counsel the patient, okay, ask her to exercise, to do skipping, to go for walk and jogs and eat correctly. In this age group, or for that matter, any age group, that is not easy to follow. They might follow it for a month, for 2 months, for 2 weeks, but they give up. And then losing weight is a biggest challenge. Believe me, it's a biggest challenge. I get frustrated. I give pills. I give treatment for 6 months. 6 months, the periods are good. Everything is fine. She is happy. Acne reduces. A little weight loss also happens. But after 6 months, everything comes to the same position, So really don't know.
Yeah, that is why.
I think we should give them achievable goals. A small, the one we can reach. She's 98 kgs, just ask her to lose 1 kg a month.
Correct,
So that slowly she's up to it.
So no, the other thing, Jyoti, I would agree with Jyoti and Dr. Basically, I think what we tell them, that's why I don't tell them weight loss. I don't really tell them you need to lose weight. So I tell them it has to be a lifestyle change, something into your lifestyle, in the form of some physical activity and a few diet modifications, which will remain with you for life. So, that is the way you need to tell them. So something which, they would do on a regular basis.
So if I would like to summarize. So whatever we counsel the patient, but we have understood one thing, that all of you all primarily want a lifestyle modification and a weight loss in that patient, because everyone is aware that weight loss is the prime reason why there is possibly PCOS and all these problems. So I have also heard many gynecologists saying that 4-5 kilo bhi kam kar dalo, it will make a huge difference. But at the same time, where we feel that yes, weight loss should be done, but we have to counsel them differently. It is very difficult for a person to lose weight normally. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ladies on this group, Doc. We've got 5 ladies on this group. And I'm aware, at least by being a married man, and how much every lady is worried about that 1 and 2 kg also.
Absolutely.
So here this girl is around 98 kgs. If we go by the basic formula that weight in kg minus 100, height in centimeter minus 100 should be your ideal weight. So she's around 33 kgs overweight. Now, as per the given formulas, this comes to a BMI of 36, that is grade 2 obesity. And obesity is a disease. How did this patient come to us and what did we do to that patient? I'll just tell you. So this patient was referred to us by gynecologist after almost 1 year of conservative treatment. Entire hormonal profile was done and it was normal. And USG was suggestive of PCOS with left ovarian volume 13 cc, right 16 cc. We operated her for a bariatric surgery and weight after 1 year was 98 kgs. From 98 kgs to 65 kgs. Hirsutism had reduced considerably. Menses had regularized. Her exercise tolerance had increased tremendously. And there was considerable reduction in acanthosis nigricans to almost 3 shades lighter. In fact, I have just seen this patient before the lockdown, and I saw her overall looks to be at least 5 to 6 shades lighter. Now that might not be our concern right now as a gynecologist, but let me tell you one thing, that every patient, every female who wishes to lose weight and is not losing weight, their entire life starts revolving only around weight, and weight. Anything they do subconsciously, it is the weight. And that has brought so many girls to us in depression that I can't do, they've lost their self-confidence. Just because the patient had come to us from a gynecologist, we knew that all the conservative treatment, supervised weight loss, and all the counseling was done, that we thought that this was a time that possibly give her the bariatric surgery option. Now, when we move ahead, friends, we don't just go ahead and operate any patient who comes to us. There's a lot we decide whenever it's a person who's less than 18 years of age. After 18, anyways, the body is fully matured, so we don't think so much because we count them as purely obese. But we got her treated for obesity. She underwent bariatric surgery, 33 kgs lighter. It made a huge change in her life. And to support our views, we started looking out for various articles or papers or studies done. And here was one paper which had a huge number of study. This was a huge study where with 2130 females in study, where it showed that bariatric surgery effectively attenuates PCOS and its clinical symptomatology. The incidence of preoperative menstrual irregularity and hirsutism both significantly decreased at 12 months and at the study end follow-up. We had another study which we found out, this is again an original article with 124 women in study with a mean BMI of 50 and mean age of 24, where follow-up of more than 2 years showed that all women resumed normal menstrual cycles, half at resolution of hirsutism. And within a short time frame, since all of these were also infertile, 23 women became pregnant spontaneously after bariatric surgery. So this is never advised because you are supposed to give some time before you conceive. We want the weight to be stabilized before you can take the load of pregnancy. Here was another paper which said that bariatric surgery reduces metabolic syndrome in PCOS patients. Bariatric surgery resolves hirsutism and metabolic syndrome at 1 year in PCOS and non-PCOS groups both. When we go through all these papers, we are very sure that since we know the treatment of PCOS is dependent on weight loss to a certain extent, surgery can only be helpful, friends, in patients with a BMI of more than 30 because we have got certain protocols we don't budge. But there are many patients who are less than 30 BMI who require just 5 to 10 kg of weight loss. And this small weight loss can also bring a lot of difference in them. Each one of you would be definitely giving some guidelines to your patients, some eating methods, something that would be of benefit to the patients. We do have with us Bhakti. She's our nutritionist. Bhakti, can you give us some 4 or 5 pointers which we can pass on to our patients, which might be helpful? Because remember one thing, that anything which you give drastic, where they have to do a lot of efforts have to be put in, that is not very easy to follow up. And then the person will do for some time and leave. So could you give certain 4 or 5 tips which you feel that it would be easier for the patient to follow and lose those 5 to 7 or 8 or 10 kg in patients with BMI less than 30?
Right. So, like Dr. Manish Motwani mentioned, that whatever whatever the patient does, if we have to ask the patient to do something which they can sustain for a longer time. There are very few four fingertip pointers that I generally ask everybody to follow when they have to lose weight because of lifestyle. First is, of course, the frequent meals that they have to eat. Eating every 2.5 to 3 hours is something which becomes extremely important because it helps in stopping overeating in the next meal. First. Secondly, the amount of proteins that they're eating. Of course, protein is the building block of the body, and that is required to improve your immunity, your strength, stamina, everything. So protein is extremely important when it comes to following a diet. Third point is water. Now, any kind of a gynecological issue, almost I would say 80 to 85% of female has something known as water retention. Always. So drinking good amount of water is also going to help them improve the water retention. Also, it is going to help in digestion of the proteins, transport of nutrients, everything. Along with this, there is a 35 to 45 minutes of workout which has to be clubbed, which is compulsory for everyone who wants to lose weight. Because after 20-25 minutes, your body starts using the stored fat as energy. So we need to extend that fat energy usage phase so that they can see considerable weight loss. So anything drastic is not recommended for anybody who wants to lose approximately 7 to 10 kgs. Anything that has to be followed for lifetime, which they can do without quitting, has to be suggested. And the most important thing is everything that they do has to be done under a proper guidance for a proper result and for a healthy result, for a successful result. So that is one key point that I tell everybody, whatever you all want to do it under a proper guide.
That's
Okay.
anyone would like to ask Jyoti?
Yeah, I have a few questions. Bhakti, you just mentioned about frequent meals. Okay, now is the era of intermittent fasting, keto diet, so many things. You just click the net and you have. So
Right.
what is your opinion on intermittent fasting, keto diet, high protein, low carb diet? What do you have to say about these different diets?
Like I said, these all diets come under fat diets. Whenever you come under intermittent fasting, see, intermittent fasting is something which is almost equal to what we follow as our schedule. Because if we are finishing our dinner at 8:30, then again we're eating in the next day morning at 8:30. That's like a 12-hour fasting already. Intermittent fasting, one is of 16, 8, 24 hours different. So
14.
that is, yeah, so that is a sort of an intermittent fasting which we're already following. But anything which is over fasting, like something which is not suiting your body, is not recommended, because what we've noticed is intermittent fasting in few patients is causing hormonal imbalance also. So if it is suiting them, nothing like it, but for a short period of time, and then again slowly and steadily under proper nutritional guidance come back to the regular routine. When it comes to keto diet, paleo diet, all of those diets are fat diets. So you follow for a certain time, you get the result, and then once you quit, you gain everything back. Besides, these were not meant for weight loss. They were meant for certain medical conditions, which I recommend to stick to the medical conditions only. Because you can't keep anyone devoid of your regular staple foods that you're eating. Some point in time, you are going to start eating that.
So if you say that frequent diet, 3 diets like breakfast, lunch and dinner, these are the standard protocols which every family in India follows. So apart from these 3 diets, do you recommend brunching in between lunch and dinner also?
Yes, definitely,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
Eating every 2.5 to 3 hours is between important. So your digestion process takes 2.5 hours to finish. So you need to give that meal in between so that your body doesn't go into starvation phase. Starvation phase will lead to energy storage in the form of fat.
Dr. Jyoti, there is a basis behind it. You know, centuries and centuries ago, when we used to probably feed on grass, there was a time that there was scarcity of food, and physical exercise was to its maximum. At some
Absolutely.
point of time, there were phases when people never used to get anything to eat.
That's right.
The body developed a type of genes called as thrifty genes. And
Okay.
thrifty genes had ensured that it helped us to store food for the future. So
Okay.
whatever the person used to eat, it was not getting consumed, it was stored for future. So that was for any starvation phase, then that type of food would be utilized. So when
Okay.
so these thrifty genes always remained in our body, but over a
Okay.
period of time, now we have ample food but less exercise. Earlier there was no food and ample exercise. So now the things have changed, but those same thrifty genes are there in our body. So whenever those same thrifty genes are there in the body and you go through a phase of long phase of starvation, the thrifty genes get activated and they activate the starvation mechanism or the starvation combat mechanism of the body. And because of that starvation combat mechanism, what happens is whatever you eat does not get utilized, but it starts getting stored in the body for future.
Absolutely.
So that is the reason you will, even if you are eating less, if you feel I'm having longer phases of fasting and I'm eating less, still whatever you eat will start getting stored because it does not get utilized because the thrifty genes come into action.
Okay.
So
Okay.
long fasting is never advisable, scientifically not advisable. Yes, I know Dikshit diets and this diets come up, which can be useful for some time, but long starvation phases cannot be done for a longer period of time. And anything which you do short term, the result is going to be short.
Okay. Okay.
But
Right.
these frequent meals have to be accompanied by exercise also, or they don't work, right?
Always exercise.
Always.
Yeah.
So certain things are important that yes, you should eat. You should have multiple small meals. When you have small meals, you should have small bites. When you eat small bites, you should chew well. You should not have water with meal. You should not have too oily, too spicy diet. And you should have lots of water a day. But most importantly, even if you do these 6 things, I tell you, you will lose 2 to 3 kgs a month only by doing these things.
Mhm.
Okay.
And after that, at least 30 to 45 minutes of some sort of exercise every day. If we can do this, we are ensuring that we will stay fit for a very long period of time.
Yes.
Okay.
Bhakti, correct me if I'm wrong anywhere. Meanwhile, we also have Dr. Mehak with us. Dr. Mehak, welcome. We had just started the first case study. Now you will be with us for the second case study. Though we have also recorded the video, we'll be sending the video to you, a link of the video to you.
Just to introduce Dr. Mehak, she's an aesthetic gynecologist practicing in the suburbs of Mumbai since past 18 years.